I speak 5 languages. Russian as a native language, Belarusian as a second language, English, German and Spanish as foreign languages. Let me show you what I do to maintain and learn these languages. There are also things that I should do, but I don't, so don't worry, this is not going to be a video where I tell you how efficient I am, because I'm not. German. Ich bin vor 2 Jahren nach Deutschland gekommen mit kaum Deutsch. On the one hand, it helps. Living in the country helps. Whenever I walk around the city, I always try and read every sign and billboard I see. I often take up my phone and translate some of the words, and that's actually the first thing I do to keep learning it. On the other hand, I haven't had a lot of opportunities to speak and practice German. I've done 3 short-term courses at language schools, 1 to 2 months each, but apart from that I only speak German with doctors and a few friends that I don't often talk to. Whatever people might tell you, living in the country where they speak the language that you're learning does not automatically result in you picking up the language naturally. If some people do, they probably have a knack for languages. I'm pretty good at languages, but I refuse to believe it's an innate talent. I've actually put a lot of hard work into all of the languages that I speak. Yeah, it's hard work and time. So I had to see to it that I have enough language exposure and practice. I've done 3 courses, as I've already said, and it's always a great thing to do if you can afford it. Time-wise and money-wise, and I'm definitely going to do some more courses in the future, but there are other things that I do too. I need a short break from work, so I'm going to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes drinking my coffee and also reading this magazine called Deutsch Perfekt. You know, I like the feel of paper, I like the smell of paper, and especially magazine paper, if you know what I mean. When I was a kid, we couldn't really afford buying a lot of magazines, so every time we did, it felt like I had all my Christmases come at once. These magazines, they're not just about language, you know, although yeah, you do get the definitions of words there and some exercises as well, but they're also about German culture and the way of living, and also just you know, current issues and stuff, like, well, for example, the main topic of this issue is 10 ideas for a better life in Germany. So it's about like how you find an apartment easier and where you buy certain things. So reading these magazines, well, at least most of the time, doesn't feel like a chore. It's mostly pretty interesting, actually. So I'm done with my coffee and my reading, so let's go back to my office. Okay, welcome. And another thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this. So another thing that I do to learn German is using a textbook. So I bought this one on a website that I think I've told you about before, whatever. World of Books. This is a website where you can buy secondhand books, including textbooks, and you know that textbooks are usually quite pricey, right? It's like anything between 25 and maybe 60 euros, which is a lot. So yeah, I actually prefer to buy secondhand textbooks. I don't mind secondhand books. No, actually this one I bought on momox.com, but well, it's another website that sells secondhand books too, so you can use either of them. I've already talked about it in another video of mine called how to create your own language learning plan. I think the link will pop up somewhere there. I said that even if you're learning a language on your own, so without a tutor, one of the best things that you can do is learn with a textbook. I know this is not for everyone because it requires a lot of discipline, but if you can do it, it's one of the most effective ways. Someone's job is actually to design a textbook and to design like the syllabus and everything to help you learn the new vocabulary and grammar and generally language better and faster and more efficiently. So why not use it, right? I have to say, like if I'm being honest, I haven't been using it much in the last few months because I've been writing my master thesis, but I'm going back to it this week, I hope. We'll see. One last thing I sometimes do is book conversation classes on italki. You can usually find some at as little as 12 to 15 euros per 45-minute lesson. As I've already said, language learning has been on the back burner for the last several months. But yeah, you know, I think I actually should book a class now. This is not a paid promotion, okay? italki is not paying me. But if you haven't used it and you would like to, please use my link. Leave it in the description to this video. You'll receive $5 and I'll receive $10 in italki credits. You'll have a similar link once you sign up. So yeah, let's just help each other. This website is a great opportunity to get some conversation practice with a person who's not going to rush you. She's going to correct your mistakes, and also by booking classes with people from different parts of the world, you get exposed to a variety of accents.
Ja, und mein Ehemann wollte eigentlich nach Deutschland ziehen und für mich, das war egal. Ich wollte also nach Europa ziehen, aber ja, welches Land eigentlich, das war mir egal.
It pains me to say it, but my Spanish has become so much worse over the last several years. I used to have a strong B2. I used to travel to Spain every year. A few years in a row I did that, and I also practiced it almost every week in language tandems. Let me and the others know in the comments whether you've ever tried language tandems and what your experiences were, what you thought about them, and I'm going to tell you my experience with language tandems. So my experience has always been really positive. I spent about half a year talking to a Chileño, so a person from Chile, and yeah, we spent half an hour speaking in Spanish and then half an hour in English. Yeah, well, you usually exchange your native language, is true, but I do speak English quite well, so then I spent another year speaking almost every week to a person from Barcelona, and we were exchanging Spanish and Russian. And I also spoke to a bunch of speakers of Spanish from a variety of countries. Now, and I also spoke to quite a few speakers of Spanish from a bunch of different countries. The website I've always used is conversationexchange.com. The problem with language tandems, I think, and these websites and apps that you can use is that, yes, you might have to talk to a bunch of weirdos or just people you don't click with, you know, at the beginning. Yeah, for a few times until you find someone you actually form a lasting language tandem with, you know. But it's definitely worth a try. At the moment, I'm also subscribed to Nerea and Belen's Spanish Academy. I feel horrible showing you myself speaking Spanish at one of their classes, but yeah, because my Spanish is so much worse than it used to be. But here you go.
Eso era la tercera vez que le habían robado el teléfono y la chica la chica decir en pasado es
¿En imperfecto o en indefinido?
indefinido. Dijo, sí, gracias. Y la chica dijo pasta y y fue a una escuela mágica y se compró un dragón y una varita mágica.
The membership is just €20 a month, and you get access to several classes a week that you can choose from. You can choose to attend or skip, as well as recordings of previous classes and some materials on the website that you can use on your own. Having a weekly meeting to attend, it keeps me accountable. I don't have the budget right now to attend, a serious course, like a serious structured course with homework and everything. So a subscription to this kind of a speaking club is a good option for me at the moment. However, I would say whenever possible, I would choose a course, like a structured course, over any other type, any other mode of learning. So give me 1 minute to pitch my course. I have structured, serious general English courses for B2, C1 and C2 students. I might open a B1 group in the future too, where I make sure you do everything. You get conversation practice during lessons, you expand your vocabulary and grammar, you learn a lot of functional language, we learn pronunciation with an emphasis on stress and intonation. You submit homework every week and get personal feedback from me, and there's a chat where you can ask your questions. We listen, we write, we speak, we read, and we do a lot of revision. And finally, we talk about interesting topics like well-being, competition, marketing, etc. If you'd like to make progress faster and more efficiently, join my courses via the link in the description. Done. Let's continue. I've also bought this book by Nerea, one of the teachers on that course, like that speaking club, with conversational, like colloquial Spanish, which I find really important because the Spanish you get taught in textbooks is not always the same Spanish that you hear when you actually come to Spain. So yeah, I just read it before I go to bed, anytime I have the time. English. I'm lucky here because I teach it, so I basically learn it while I'm getting prepared for my lessons and while I'm teaching them.
Conscientiousness. Yes. Why is it? Well, like, what's the meaning of if you're conscientious, what does that mean?
However, this is the language I consume a lot of content in. This is the primary language I read books in, mostly in the original rather than the translation, and I also watch TV series and films. As for films and series, I really like to choose those where there's a variety of accents. There's not much I'm still learning vocabulary-wise, but I'm still not good enough in understanding some of the accents of the English language. So right now, for example, I'm watching Botkin.
I started drinking a glass of water between every pint of Guinness, and it really helps. You should try it.
I have a few friends I speak English with, and I also go to a book club, sort of a book club here in Berlin, but you might argue how much of language learning that is. Well, language practice for sure. Oh, and I actually found one of my good friends on conversationexchange.com who we used to have, well, we still do, an English-Russian language tandem with. We started about 3 or 4 years ago, and we still talk, but over the years we've met twice, we have become friends, and we've even worked together in a speaking club because she's also an English teacher. Finally, Belarusian. As I've already said, it's not my native language, but it's not a foreign language for me either. I was born in Belarus and spent most of my life there, but nobody spoke Belarusian around me, and I learned it at school as kind of something in between a native language and a foreign language. So I'm definitely not fluent in it. I can speak it pretty well, but I'm not fluent. I still make a lot of mistakes. And we have a really small community of speakers of Belarusian here in Berlin. We have a chat where we share some links and events and grammar rules and memes in Belarusian, and we also meet every once in a while to practice Belarusian. All the other people there, they also started speaking it just a few years ago, so all of us are learners of Belarusian, but yeah, not usual learners, because again, all of us learned it at school too, but none of us spoke it or speak it as a native language. And I don't do anything for Russian because so far that's not a problem. Although it sometimes happens that you may forget your native language, and I have another video about that. This process is called language attrition, but it's not happening yet. I'm editing the video right now, and I've just thought about another thing that I do all the time but I didn't mention in the video, and that is imagining conversations in all of the languages, in all of the non-native languages that I speak, so English, Belarusian, German and Spanish. I imagine conversations with that I could have with real people, but also with imaginary people, and that's conversation practice in case I actually do have those conversations and those situations actually take place. But I also always check any words that I don't know how to say or phrases in the target language, in the language that I'm holding this conversation in. I always look it up in a dictionary. And that means I also kind of link this word or phrase to the context I might use it in. Yeah, and that's something I do all the time actually. Do you think that's crazy? Do you have any questions? Share them in the comments. And if you have any other tips for learners of several languages, please share them with me, with us, with everyone in the comments too. Thank you for watching. My name is Ina. You've been watching Ina in English. See you in the next one.